Alright, it's Memorial Day 2024. This will be the third part of my military death series. I served in the Air Force 1980, year 2000, 20 years. Life was great. Remember, 1% served in the military, 10% overseas combat. So my death stories are minimal at best. But this is a good story. So I was in Miami, Florida. And that's my buddy. We're in a 3-person organization. And like my content, thumbs up, subscribe, watch my playlist so I can read the story. I'll link the whole story after the 1-minute version. But I'll continue the story. So it was just me, this black guy, and the boss, my buddy. And at 3 o'clock in the morning one day, his girlfriend calls me up and said she called an ambulance for my buddy, and he fell out of bed. I sort of probably giggled, and I'm going and stopped acrobatics. She says she wasn't happy, she was sad. And she called an ambulance. I said, what do you want me to do? Hold your hand at the hospital? She said, yeah. So, 3 o'clock in the morning in Miami, not the best place in the world. Inner city, that's where the hospital is. Told me where the hospital was. And this was before cell phones and all this stuff. So what I did is I called my boss. 3 o'clock in the morning, and of course, you're talking answering machines, folks. Low tech back then. And I said, hey, this guy fell out of bed, I'm going to the hospital, and his girlfriend called me. So I'm just letting people know where I'm at, because I'm a single guy. If I disappear, who's going to know? So I left a message, and his aunt and I got in the car and I went to the hospital. And this girl, she had a checkered past. This guy was a regular guy, had thick plastic glasses. I don't know how he did it, but he always found beautiful women. He must have had something going for him. And this girl, her checkered past was so bad, the FBI checked up on her. Why? Because she was hanging out with the gangsters. Because she had model looks. Beautiful girl, probably a fun girl, play girl. And this guy was lucky enough to get her, and they were going to get married, and I think she needed medical benefits. I don't know. But this guy had a way to find these beautiful girls, and I think what it was this church girl set him up with this other beautiful girl. And I go to the hospital, and what happened was this guy had a brain aneurysm. His brain popped. I said, whoa. So I went back and called my boss again, probably payphoned back then, and I said, hey, you better let the commander know. Escalate this up the channels. This guy, this guy's may not make it. He's in brain surgery right now. Of course, the guy never answered the phone. Later on, he got a hold of me. He's going, what the hell's going on? And, by the time you called, I got out of bed, I could never get to the phone. I said, hey, I understand. I said, you let the commander know. Let the first sergeant know. This is serious business. And, I'm tired at this time. It's probably 8, 9 o'clock in the morning. And, we went to the chapel and this and that. But the guy pulled through. And, since I'm his buddy. In the Army, they call them battle buddies. When I was in the Air Force, we just call them buddies. And this girl, pretty girl. So I ended up, taking her home to his apartment, staying with her a little bit. And I guess they got a hold of his parents. And of course, there's always stories, I take every story with a grain of salt. His father was rich, and his step-parents were, I think they were retired in Arizona, and his father was in New York. And he always said his father was more of a con artist, taking advantage of, white women. Because this guy was a great guy, I knew. I don't know about his father. But that's the story. So he got out of the military, and he was under tremendous stress. He had was transferring to a different job. So he was moving, he was getting married, and changing jobs. Those are the 3 top high stress events in your life, folks. So he did it all at one time, and I guess his brain just popped, and he was half paralyzed. He could still walk, but I think one of his arms was like in an L shape. So he had a tough life, but he lived. Veterans Affairs took care of him. They're probably paying him, I don't know, $3,000 to $10,000 tax-free a month, because he served his country. He was in probably 12, 15 years or so. Eventually they bought him a car, they bought him a house, of course, free health care. Eventually they even gave him a job at the Veterans Administration. I think he was more or less probably a greeter or a patient rep, where he could contact people and get other veterans help. But yeah, he just died about a year ago, so he died in his 60s. So Veterans Affairs and the VA takes care of its people. But that's my 3rd story, my Veterans Affairs or Memorial Day series. So thumbs up, subscribe, leave a comment, share the stories, and check out my playlist. Life is great, folks. Getting better and better. Tell young folks to join the military. It's Memorial Day, 2024. And this is as good as it gets. You know, and remember, 1% serve in the military, 10% ever seek combat. And I think news channels reported how many people died. Even if you think about Vietnam, 50,000 people died in that 10-year war. We lose that many people every year to truck drivers, car accidents. You know, same thing that happened to this guy, same with the rest of my Memorial Day stories. These are just everyday events, except if they're in the military, they're taken care of. So thumbs up, subscribe, share, leave a comment. Thanks.